Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today, Tuesday, November 5th. Apparently, I should have said that. Hi, besties, because do y'all want to know some of the reviews I've been getting? Apparently, I have a baby voice that is so obnoxious, people can no longer listen to me speak. So apparently, I have to speak in a deeper voice from now on. I'm not going to. I'm going to continue to talk in my normal voice, which people think I am not doing. I I don't know what to say. I'm sorry I was born with this voice. Okay. I know it's election day. It's a little nerve-wracking for every single person in this country at the moment, and we're not going to talk about politics. All I hope is that you made an educated vote so that you can be a part of the democracy. That's it. Okay? I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about Salt Lake City, my friends. Okay? It feels a little weird not being live with you all, and I do miss that, but it's gonna be just the new structure. That's the way it goes. I still will be replying to your comments here on YouTube. If you wanna watch the video and you're just listening to audio, bear with me. Okay. So we pick back up with Lisa bouncing around like that little ping pong ball she is. Oh my God. I love that. Baby gorgeous. Love that. Ding. Love that. Oh my God. Whitney's a liar. Ding. Whitney's a liar. Justin, how do you do it? Ding. Okay. So we end up picking up even more so with John pushing Justin back, saying, "Don't say the F word to my wife." And Justin's like, "I didn't say the F word." But John's like, "Yeah, you just said she's not an effing liar." Whitney says in her confessional that Lisa charging at her husband is inappropriate because now it's involving the husbands and getting them involved in their drama, the female drama. Oh, gosh, not female drama. I do get it, but at the same time, Lisa was pissed because you have now yet again brought another lie about her. That's what's so infuriating for Lisa. You continue to do this, Whitney. It's this just half-baked thing that you're pretending is a real thing because if y'all watch what Giorgio was saying on his social media that he went ahead and listened to Dana Wilkie. Yes. 25,000. Did you know? 25,000. The thirstiest woman on the planet, but okay. We're all thirsty bitches. I already cussed. Oh well. Anywho, yeah, that Dana Wilkie, she showed some DMs she had with Whitney alleging that was her proof that Whitney knew it was not Lisa and that she knew that before she filmed that scene where Adam, quote unquote, the podcaster, calls her and insinuates that it's Lisa. So, what exactly was that about, my friends? Don't know. Anywho, Whitney tells Lisa, "You, my friend, cannot own your own shit, and that's your own fucking problem." And Lisa looks at her and she's like, "We're not friends." God bless. Angie starts trying to get everyone together because Mary's going to give them a blessing prayer thing. Mhm. In confessional, Lisa says, "You are accusing me of doing something vehemently that I did not do. Somebody take her temperature because she's clearly sick." Lisa and her random burns for Whitney in the confessional are just giving me life. Let me just say that. Lisa is telling Whitney and Justin to stay away from John. Okay. Whitney claims that she's trying to tell Lisa that she wants to give her the benefit of the doubt, but that she's just over here calling your attorney. Well, Lisa's denying that because Lisa actually wasn't calling her attorney. She was calling her cybersecurity guy or security guide. Poor Sean. Angie starts just asking them to chill out because Electra is there. And I love what she does end up saying in confessional, which is that if I had rented an event center, go for it, call each other out, rip each other's eyes out, claw them out, get the hair. But this is my house, so we're not going to do that here. Mary's going to give the blessing. John is basically being a straitjacket for Lisa. And she goes, "Is it warm in here? Is it just me?" It's probably a mix of both, but you're so heated, and he's literally wrapped you up like a mummy in a straitjacket to keep you from going hammer time again. Mary goes up and asks everyone if they could join hands with someone they love. Well, of course, Lisa's going to be nowhere near Whitney in this moment, but Mary asks Lisa to hold Whitney's hands. And Lisa's like, "No." Listen, I'm here for it. I love it when they just get so and, she walks Mary asks her again. She's like, "Please go hold Whitney's hand because it's very important." And so she finally walks over. I don't know why Mary gets to be mom to everyone sometimes, but she does. And so Lisa walks over to Whitney and goes, "Don't lie about me." And Whitney goes, "Don't call me a liar." Which is kind of hilarious that that was Whitney's comeback, considering she's also not telling the truth about Lisa, because clearly Lisa is not the one who's talking about Prism. Give me a break. Lisa tells Whitney that she didn't do anything through DMs or fake accounts. She would never do that. And she tells Whitney, "I could hate you, but I wouldn't do that to you." Justin asks Lisa why she keeps calling Whitney a liar. And she says because she's lying about her. Now, John, God bless him, he's in protect mode. He's in protect mode. He immediately gets right in between them and shoves Justin back, which, to be honest, it was a little, a little too much energy for what was actually happening. But he didn't know that that little switch in his brain got flipped, and it was go time. Lisa protect mode, bodyguard. We're there. We're doing it. But Justin is meeting him at a higher energy level on this because he's saying to get him away from him because he's going to pound his ass. Sir, I know you are not a small man. Everything I didn't see Justin at BravoCon. John is tall, but also Lisa's more petite than I thought she was, like, height-wise, you know? Lisa's petite in general, like, she's tiny, but she's not as tall as I thought she was for some reason. So I expected John to be even taller, but John still is pretty tall, but Justin's just kind of a big dude. I mean, he's bigger than John. I hate doing this on Housewives, comparing how big the men are in this capacity, at least. Anyway, Whitney is telling them that they just need to let Lisa and Whitney handle it because we can do that. We can handle it. Now, Whitney and Justin leave. Good idea. Great idea. Lisa's now crying to the other girls, saying that this is all bullshit because she bought Whitney's very first piece of Prism jewelry as if it were her first sale. I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. I mean, how do you prove that? Anyway, well, Whitney could, but I don't really trust anything Whitney says at this point. The next day at Lisa and John's house, John asks Lisa, like, "What have you been doing all day?" And she's like, "Oh, not much. It's been a quiet day. I needed it after last night, Mr. Boxer." Man, and let me tell you what, I bet Lisa put John through that mattress last night. You know she did. She loved it. John's laughing, saying, "Mister, I'm going to stand up for my mouthy wife." And she's like, excuse me. Oh, now I'm mouthy. Now, over at Whitney and Justin's house, Justin is dumping out these Blue Jay drinks, which are actually Lisa and John's hard seltzer drinks. And Whitney's looking at it like, "Excuse me, I could have gotten drunk off of that and swung around my pole downstairs. Why are you dumping out perfectly good booze?" And especially in Utah, it's not that easy to get the booze in Utah, at least compared to other states. And then he starts dumping out a brand new bottle of Vita tequila. Whitney's like, "Why are you dumping a brand new bottle of this?" So listen, I guess Justina is going to be just as petty as Whitney can be, if not worse. If not worse, because that's wasteful, sir. It's wasteful. In confessional, Lisa says that she felt like Justin's reaction to her was really aggressive. And it was. It was. It was too much. Like, it just kept escalating things. Did Lisa need to get over in his face? "Your wife is a liar." No, she didn't. She did not need to get in there. But at the same time, it's a lot. Okay. Anyway, she points out that if Whitney came over to John and was saying, "Your effing wife this," or "Your, effing wife that John would just be like, "Okay, whatever," and not do anything. I mean, Justina was way too much in Lisa's face. He was. Whitney and Justin over at their house are saying that they've never seen Justin behave that way before. But Justin's like, "Have you ever seen anyone get into my space like that?" Well, maybe not, but it was a female who is tiny and has never thrown hands at anyone that we've ever seen. So come on, Justin, give me a break. Lisa asks John what he wants to do regarding Justin. And he says that he likes Justin. So if it comes down to it, he's not going to let it get in the way of them being friends and that they have to figure out a way to just move forward. Oh, where am I? Yes. Okay. Whitney tells Justin that she thinks Lisa wanted a fight to distract from what Whitney had discovered and outed about Lisa. Whitney, girl, come on. Come on. Lisa didn't do that. Lisa was just furious. And she's like, no, I'm going after you. I'm going after your husband. I'm going after your dog. I'm going after your mom. I'm doing it all. She was pissed. Oh my God, Lisa in confession. Lisa says in her confessional, if I wanted to put something out there, I would go to the Post, New York Times, maybe go on Good Morning America. But like nobody gives a fuck about your jewelry anyway, Whitney. You're hoping that it gets you $100,000 in sales when it airs. Like, good luck. We feel so bad for Whitney. We're going to buy her healing necklaces. I don't know why. I think it's so funny when they all do impressions of each other. I think it's hysterical because they are some of the most not impressionable, but impression doable bunch that we have on Bravo, if you want to know my opinion. It's my opinion. Now, Heather and Britney get together. And, oh my God. Britney starts by saying, okay, I am dying. What in the world? And Heather's just like, I don't even know how all of that happened. I mean, did you even see the fight happen? And my God, Britney, my God. Britney's like, no. Is that what you're talking about? Heather's like, yeah. What are you talking about? And Britney goes, oh, I was talking about Jared showing up. Oh my God. Girl, of course you were. Of course you were. Because if it's not about you and Jared Osmond, you can't even focus. It makes you dizzy. There are a lot of things. Okay. Mm. Heather says to break down the night one step at a time, starting with this guy, Aaron. Brittany brought that Heather has had a little hookup with before. And Heather's telling Brittany that whenever she saw Jared, that she looks like a war widow seeing her husband, who she thought was deceased, come back from the war. And she just was, oh my, but Jared. We get this like interesting little black and white flashback with the film dust splotches. I mean, it wasn't totally necessary, but it was also necessary. I love the editors here on Salt Lake City. Okay, they have given us some of the most beautiful cinematography. Let's just be real. Now, Brittany says that she loves Jared and she's just so confused because he's so good to her on one hand and then so not on the other hand. And that's all she ever knows what to talk about. Brittany, for the love of God, get a hobby. Get a real hobby. Like, I know you love to sing and you have a beautiful voice. Get an actual hobby that is not Jared Osmond. Well, Heather asks Brittany what happened to the plan of her repairing her relationship with her children and, trying to be single for just a little while, and like maybe not being so boy crazy. Brittany's like, well, that's still on the table. Obviously not. If your children will not speak to you because of how you behave regarding men and choosing them over your children, get your shit together. Your children at this point have to come first. It's one thing to be like, no, when you're in a marriage, you're married, all of that. They do say, as in some experts, some not, that you are supposed to put your marriage first and your children second, but the safety of your children first and your marriage second. Does that make sense? Your relationship with your spouse first so that your children can thrive and be in a happy environment, and then their safety above all of that. Okay, because you are in charge of keeping them alive, safe, and well. But she puts everything before her children, clearly. Brittany, I feel sorry for you, but at the same time, I don't. And that's mom to mom, babes. Mom to mom. Okay. So Heather tells her, I'm going to give it to you straight. I love you. I don't want you to look crazy, but you're talking crazy. Heather, she already looks crazy. It's fine. You don't, you're too late. It's that cat already jumped out of the tree. I don't know how to even talk to you because we have had the same conversation over and over. And we get the flashback of it. Yes, Britney, she doesn't know how to talk about anything but Jared Osmond. I never thought in my life I would be saying that about another human being. Like, oh my God, Jared Osmond, because I'd never even heard of him until this freaking show. But my God. Well, Brittany thinks it's condescending and hurtful, but Heather tells her, listen, I get it, but I'm just trying to give it to you straight. And this is very interesting because Brittany tries to say basically, well, do you even know what it's like to do this essentially? To be in love with someone and be so confused and go back and forth? And Heather's like, yes, I've had toxic relationships. Yes. And Brittany asks her what she did in those relationships. And Heather goes, it fucked up my entire life. I don't know how to explain this, but why do I feel like this toxic relationship she's referring to is almost more about Jen Shaw than it is an actual man or romantic relationship? Just wondering. But it makes Brittany cry because she says she's been searching for the love that she's never gotten and that she feels so alone. Between her children not speaking to her and her mother passing away last year, Brittany, oh, it's like frustrating. It's frustrating. Oh my God, you're a grown woman. Grow up. I'm sorry. I'm really over this. She says in her confessional that it's very difficult to be a mom to kids that she's not getting to see, but that she thinks she can have both, which is fine. She thinks she can have both love and trying to be a mom, but her kids stopped talking to her again because the man became more important than them. Okay. I'm sorry, but nothing with my children at that point would stop me from being like, you know what, fuck men. Of course, I'm like that half the time anyway. But apparently, someone posted a picture, I don't even know if it was real, of Jared's like Tinder, Hinge, whatever profile. And it says his occupation is quote unquote dragon slayer slash real estate development, investment, whatever. Dragon slayer. Oh my God, how dare you speak about Brittany that way? Douche canoe. Anywho, Bronwyn and her husband Todd go out to eat. And the most we do get from this, for me personally, are the hysterical text messages that we saw Bronwyn, send to him when he wasn't there for that party at Angie's. And also her wearing ridiculous costumes at the airport every time she goes to pick him up. Literally, a shark costume, a frog, a mushroom, a pig, a unicorn, a bunny, a creepy, even little furry costume, like a panda. Oh. Anyway, they talk about how they're going to go to the Indy race thing in Thermal. Never even heard of Thermal, California, but okay. And she says she doesn't want to bring Brittany. But when we finally get to see Brittany's text from Brittany, Bronwyn's text messages to Todd when he wasn't at Angie's anniversary party, I'm sorry, they were really funny. She goes, OMG, Brittany is here with a new guy. She brought a new guy as her date. I said hi to John for you. No one here looks mafia. I wasted a good look. Alarm emojis. Jared just showed up. Brittany has 2 dates. Oh my gosh, if they duel over her, I'll be so entertained. Alarm emoji. Then manifested violence. John and Justin are scuffling. My prayer got delivered wrong. Why aren't you here for this insanity? And then Bronwyn concludes she's just not going to invite Brittany. She's also not sure about inviting Heather, which we know that. Okay. We also get a little bit of an update on Gwen and the biological grandparent situation. And essentially, the messages that the bio grandparents sent to Gwen really turned her off to the idea of meeting them. Now, there was on social media quite a bit of drama between Bronwyn and my friend Jenny Blaze. I love Jenny, so it's always crazy when you see your friends like feuding with a housewife or something because you're like, oh my God. But trigger warning, Lisa did say on the after show that Gwen's biological grandparents thought that Bronwyn had a miscarriage and claimed that they did not know that Bronwyn had Gwen. But Bronwyn has said they claim that they don't have social media, yet they have sent her social media messages over the years, and I can prove that. And then there was the whole thing of Bronwyn saying, yes, Gwen's bio dads wife. Well, then people were like, was it a married man? No, it sounds like he got married after he and Bronwyn had their thing, and she had to kind of just like go away to have Gwen. So, yeah, it's rough. It's a really uncomfortable situation. Anywho, we go over to Lisa and her sister Denise, which Denise is basically Lisa Barlow in a different font. You know what I mean? She's her younger sister, and oh my God, there are 6 girls in the family. I forget that. We've been told this, but oh my God. Wow. Okay. And they sit down for just a second, and John calls, and Lisa's like, oh my God, hold on, it's John. And her sister's like, is everything okay? Lisa's like, oh yeah, no, he's fine. We're just codependent. At least you admit it. That's fine. Denise asks Lisa how Henry is doing, and Lisa tells her that she worries about Henry having a hard time since Jack is gone because he kind of relied on Jack socially and that Jack's friends would really hype him up and be just like good big brother figures to him. And then, oh my God, she tells Denise about Henry's birthday party where he sent out last minute invites to kids, and that because it was so last minute, they all went to a different kid's birthday party. Oh my God. And that on the way to his own party, he didn't even want to go. And she felt so guilty, thinking she let him down. Listen, Lisa, baby, I understand. At the same time, he is what, like 12? You gotta give him a deadline on when to invite kids if he wants a party. And you just gotta say, if you tell me after this date, we can't have the party. So I'm not blaming you. Lesson learned. Because she also was clearly feeling worse about all of that after she heard what Angie said about, letting him game and all of that. So Angie, Bronwyn, and Whitney go for a walk. And Bronwyn jokes about hoping someone would have hit her at Angie's party because she wants an excuse to get another nose job. And Whitney springs off of that saying she's a pest because she feels like Lisa and John owe Justin a major apology. She tells them that John texted Justin, and we see a flashback of Justin getting the text message from John. And he's like, I'm going to be really direct back with him. He says he types out as, sounds good. Definitely think we need to talk things out. So direct, Justin. Oh my God, you hard ass. Oh my God. So Bronwyn asks Whitney how she believes it was Lisa who did this whole thing with outing the Alibaba white labeling things, to social media. And all Whitney can say is, we narrowed it down and it's Lisa. Who is we? Adam? You? Dana? Who? Was it Bobby? And how? How did you narrow that down factually? Okay. Angie thinks this is how Lisa gets revenge, is doing things like this. And Whitney tells Bronwyn that Lisa hurts other people to make herself feel better. Bronwyn says she doesn't have that experience with Lisa at all. Whitney says it's not a matter of if, but when. And she tells Bronwyn that Lisa will treat her differently because Bronwyn has everything Lisa wants. Like, what exactly is it that she thinks Bronwyn has that Lisa doesn't and wants? Lisa does have quite a bit of money. She and John are self-made, we'll call it that. And yes, it seems like Bronwyn has a little bit more money, but really, you think Lisa is only going to be nicer to Bronwyn because she has an extra 0 or 2 in her bank account? That doesn't even make sense to me. Bronwyn has a fairly decent response because she's like, shouldn't get her in too much trouble. I don't think, maybe. Oh, unless you saw the preview for next week, right? Uh-huh. Okay. Well, Bronwyn goes, oh, wow. Well, I don't love that. And I hope it's not the case. Whitney says, if you're throwing a glamorous party, she'll be there. And so will you because you're filming a TV show, you weirdo. What the hell, Whitney? What is wrong with you? Why are you so... You have nothing else to talk about, clearly. All right. Bronwyn says she's not questioning her friendship with Lisa because Lisa has not been vindictive to her. But Bronwyn, you were questioning your friendship with Lisa 2 episodes ago, but okay. And Bronwyn, this is all in her confessional. She says, you just have to love Lisa for exactly who she is because she's not going to be anyone else. And Bronwyn starts telling Angie and Whitney about the anniversary thing. It's not actually her and Todd's wedding anniversary. It's the anniversary of when they met at a car race, I guess. And she invites them to Thermal for the Indy race. And she says Britney is obviously not invited, and she's not sure about Heather because she stirs the pot and then pretends to have no involvement. Angie feels like Heather is taking things that she says to her in confidence, and then she just goes and runs and tells Lisa. Oh my gosh, and this. All right, so Brittany is hosting a monthly Mormon group that Heather shows up at first. We meet Brittany's dad, and apparently this thing is called a fireside. Never heard of it before, but okay. Uh, mhm. Heather compares going to this event to going back to your first apartment where there's a little bit of nostalgia, but you don't want to live there anymore. Then why did you go, Heather? Then why did you want to start your own Mormon choir thing or non Mormon choir? Right? Am I? Yeah. Angie. So then we gotta love how Angie shows up with a bottle of wine, and Brittany's like, "You brought alcohol to a Mormon church event." Angie, I love you. Never change, please. Never change. Angie knows that this is not something she technically should have brought, but she's like, listen, I have been seeing Brittany guzzling wine at every single event she's been at. So, you know, perfect hostess gift. But apparently, this was something that Brittany's mom would do. And remember, she did pass the previous year. And they sing. And Brittany is acting like she's teaching a music class. Like, what are you doing? She's got the music sheet. She's cutting cutting them off, making them hold the note when she wants them to. Like, ma'am, it's not that serious. Oh my god. Then Brittany's dad speaks, and this is where Brittany's obsession with finding love seems to come from, which is from how her parents had met. They'd only been dating for like 6 days, and they got engaged and married. They got engaged after 6 days, excuse me, and married only 3 months later, and they stayed married for 53 years. Now, they show an interesting photo of the whole family where they're all like mini Partridge family members, or actually they're like the Osmonds. They're all dressed the same in like ruffled 70s outfits with microphones singing. I mean, Brittany has a gorgeous voice. Let's be real. She has a beautiful singing voice. So, and if you think I'm only going off of that assessment from this episode, no, go look at her Instagram. Like, she literally can sing. Girl can sing. Maybe it's just like a family thing. I don't know. So they wrap up the service, and Heather tells Brittany and Angie that Bronwyn invited her over to her house the following day. And Angie says she feels like Bronwyn wants to be friends with Heather and that she likes her as she's getting to know her. So Heather asks Angie, "So do you feel like you're getting schmoozed by her?" Angie's like, "Girl, I've had a different experience with Bronwyn than you, okay?" Angie feels that Bronwyn has been very direct with her, where Heather hasn't. And that's true. Bronwyn, now listen, was Bronwyn being messy when she was being direct? Yes, but that's okay. We liked, we here in the Bravo verse reality TV world, dumb kingdom. Is that stupid to say? Anyway, we here in the Bravo world, we love direct messiness. Okay, honey, we do. We sure do. Anyway, so again, Angie feels like Bronwyn was direct with her messiness, but Heather wasn't. And she feels like the Lisa comment that, I'm sorry, she's saying it's like the Lisa comment, that Angie made about, I don't let my daughter game until 2 o'clock in the morning and let the computer be the babysitter, whatever. And Heather's like, this isn't direct on Bronwyn's part, it's slimy. Angie's like, well, you know what? At least she brought me the information directly instead of running to Lisa immediately and telling her. But Heather's like, yeah, I did. And I gasped when you made that comment originally and told you not to electronics mom shame Lisa. I never saw her do that ever. In fact, she stayed very quiet in what we saw of that, but who knows? Angie tries to tell Heather that she never said anything about Lisa as a parent or her parenting style. And she's like, so, when you take it to her like that, yeah, it does sound bad. And Heather denies taking it to her like that. And she starts getting kind of pissed off, saying, who told you I took it to her like that? Well, Heather, you did, but okay. Angie tells her that Bronwyn was telling Angie that she was crying. And Heather's like, she cried to me. Bronwyn doesn't know because Bronwyn wasn't fucking there. Listen, if it were anyone but the Mormons after watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I'd think it was icky or just like not, kind of uncouth to be cussing up a storm at the moment. But listen, they love a good F bomb and shit and bitch and all of that over there. Okay, I just cussed more than I needed to. Anyway, Angie points out that there wasn't support for her when Lisa was calling her a bitch and yelling at her. And really, Lisa went hard on Angie at that Harley Davidson Museum dinner. And she wonders to Heather if Heather has told Lisa that she was kind of being a crappy friend to Angie as well. And I think that's a fair question because Angie tells us too in confessional, which honestly, did we really need Angie to tell us this? I don't know. I don't feel like we did. Angie tells us that she's known Heather since she was 15 and that Heather has always wanted to be at the cool kids table and that she'll do anything to be at that table, even if it means taking up for the wrong person. And yeah, babes, we've been watching Heather for 5 years and we know. It's true. Angie tells Heather that she's seen her do this type of thing for someone before. And you can see all the wheels turning for everybody. She's implying Jen Shaw. Jen Shaw. And the blind loyalty Heather had for her. Heather thinks this is such a low blow and it hurts her feelings. Why are you suddenly having your feelings so hurt by everything, Heather? I thought you were like kind of a tough broad at this point, right? Try not to cuss as much. I don't like the word broad, but okay. Tough chick. How about that? Anyway, Heather, it hurts her feelings, she says, because of her blind loyalty in the past with the church and Jen. And she thinks that it's very apparent that that's not what this is about. I don't know. I'm a little confused on Heather's reasoning, her explanation. Doesn't make sense to me. So she thinks she's proving loyalty in a very different way now, I guess. I suppose. I'm not sure. It's quite, like I said, perplexing to me. Okay, whatever. So Angie thinks Heather is just in a place where she wants to prove her loyalty to Lisa, but that Lisa doesn't deserve this much support from Heather. Heather says that Bermuda is what changed her relationship with Lisa and that she's really been there for her. And this is what's interesting is you can really see that Lisa, Meredith, and Heather really had a bonding experience in Bermuda. So did Angie. But what's the common denominator between who did not take that whole experience as a bonding experience to come together? Whitney, because Whitney's got Angie cornered off trying to keep that, it's Whitney, the common denominator between her going on the podcast on Vial Files, talking shit on Lisa, and then her trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Corner off, split off Angie from Lisa, trying to split everyone off from Lisa Barlow. So I feel like it's Whitney. I'm sorry. I feel like it is. I hear she's very nice, but is what it is. Okay. Now, Angie points out that Heather is not holding Lisa to the same standards that Heather is holding Angie to. And Heather, at least for her part, half-heartedly takes this and pretends to. Okay, Heather's like, whatever. She's inside, like, being like, this is fucking bullshit. But she goes, she says to Angie that she loves her and respects her and wants her to feel supported by her. And she thinks Angie shouldn't question her loyalty just because she's being a good friend to her as well. But she says she's taking that in. All right. I'm sure. We'll see. We'll see, Heather. Okay. So we cut on over to a Range Rover attempting to parallel park. Do you know there always has to be, whenever I'm trying to parallel park anywhere, there is always some random ass judgy man. And I know it's a straight man. It's never a gay man. A gay man would never judge me like that. There's always some random judgy man just watching me, doing nothing to help. If I could explain how this happens every goddamn time. So I think I have a lot of empathy for who's about to get out of the car, regardless of who it was to begin with, because I am fully expecting it to be Lisa or Meredith or Angie to hobble out, but God bless, it's John Barlow. Listen, Bravo, y'all did not have to do that to him. He goes into this establishment, and what in God's name? What in God's name is Justin Rose wearing? Listen, my guy, we get it. You like hogs. You're a Harley dude. You're a biker bro. You're a moto man, for fuck's sake. We get it. How many Harley, like you are Dorit, the way she is with Fendi and Louis Vuitton and Chanel, that you are that way with Harley Davidson. Okay. I mean, maybe you're just trying to fit in because you were like, oh my God, we're supposed to wear name brands. We're supposed to have brands all over us. It's not supposed to be Harley Davidson everywhere. What was that? Oh my God. So John tells Justin as they sit down, look, I know we have different perspectives on everything that went down at Angie's anniversary party, but, I'll hear you out if you'll hear me out. And Justin tells John that it surprised him that it went down how it went and that Lisa came directly at him and that, look, he's going to defend his wife because he didn't feel like what Lisa was saying was appropriate. And he's like, the whole party is hearing everything she's saying. Well, yeah, because it's Lisa Barlow. She's going to make sure everyone hears her. Hello. But anyway, John tells him that what freaked him out was how quickly Justin got angry and took a step toward Lisa, which he did. Lisa wasn't touching him. Her tiny ass wasn't doing anything. He should have just brushed it off. And he absolutely should also have defended his wife if he felt like he needed to. He could have just been like, look, Lisa, my wife isn't a liar, but this is between you and my wife. That's it. I mean, if he wanted to do anything, that's all he should have done. This was just doing the absolute most. John puts it in perspective that if John had stepped up at Whitney the way Justin did to Lisa, Justin would have put a stop to it. And then there is a fair question coming from Justin next, which is, look, Justin's like, he basically concedes that the first time he gets why John stepped in, but he doesn't get why it happened the second time because Justin was just leaned up against the counter. And in the flashback, we do get reminded that Whitney was also standing between Lisa and Justin. So it's not like it was previously, And he just literally was asking Lisa what Whitney was lying about, what Lisa was perceiving Whitney to lie about. And John apologizes about that second time. And gosh, I just adore John Barlow the more I see him. I mean, literally, the thing was, Justin was just Justin, John, Justin, John, Jesus Christ. The problem was that John was a little too hyped up from the first moment and then just went full-blown bodyguard. Took his job way too seriously. Now, John asks Justin if he could apologize to Lisa. And Justina is not feeling that, okay? He's not about to do it. He says that he feels as though, John says as though, blah, 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 blah. I'm here. Okay. John says he feels as though Lisa deserves an apology. And Justin says, oh man, I'm going to have to think about that one. Cracked me up how Justina gets in a confessional and he says, I'm kind of caught off guard because I don't feel like my reaction was anything different than what we see from her all the time. So I don't feel like an apology is something I want to do right now. So no one says double E words in their house ever, or EA words. It's always an I. All right. So now we're at Bronwyn's. We're at Bronwyn's little wackadoodle house. And Heather shows up. I love that Bronwyn, though, says in her confessional that she shoulders a lot of the blame in her issues with Heather because she hasn't shown the well-rounded version of herself. This episode, I don't know how to explain it, made me truly love Bronwyn. Okay. Because at first I was like, okay, is she just going to play messy and do all of that? No. I truly love Bronwyn now. And please don't disappoint me. Oh my God. She says also that she thinks Heather is very smart, funny, witty, and that they maybe don't get along because they're so similar. Heather, though, on the other hand, is basically just talking shit in her confessional regarding Bronwyn. And she says she expects Bronwyn to make amends to her because she's just straight up been an asshole to Heather. Now, also, friends, if you hear a little lispiness or a little bit of a speech impediment with my SHs, remember I chipped one of my front teeth last week and I got it bonded. So I'm still the tiniest little change in my mouth. I'm still like having a hard time saying some words. It won't be permanent. Let me just get used to it. Okay. Don't turn it off just because I have a baby voice and a lisp. Jesus Christ. So, anyway, Heather says in confessional, just kidding. I'm not going to do it. Heather says in confessional that if Mary's house reminded her of Whoville, Bronwyn's reminds me of the Pound Puppy's Palace. Heather, stop writing every single confessional burn you want to do. Let something be organic. The reason Lisa is so funny is because she clearly rehearsed nothing before she got in her confessionals. Okay. Heather, you're too rehearsed right now. You need to, I don't know, take a shot, fucking relax. I can't take it. It's not funny when you are so forced. Anyway, all right. So here's the thing, too. I guess like Bronwyn tried to clarify that the crew was there all day. She couldn't let the dogs out enough. And yes, she couldn't also let the dogs be out there by themselves. It was like snowy and stuff. She can't just leave them. So yeah, there were poopies and peepees on the floor. Heather is really being snobby regarding everything Bronwyn shows her, like genuinely, like even just these Starbucks mugs she collects, like, why are you so goddamn rude? Anyway, they sit down and Bronwyn's like just telling Heather, I'm glad you accepted my invite. And Heather tells her she's surprised that Bronwyn even invited her over because she thought she didn't like her very much. And then Bronwyn says she's surprised that Heather came because she thought Heather didn't like her very much either. She doesn't. She doesn't like you, Bronwyn. I think Bronwyn, you want to like Heather. Heather doesn't give a shit and she does not like you. She's like, no, I'm an OG. They used my quote across the top of Google last year or earlier this year, whenever we aired our finale. I had the most epic monologue of all time. So no, I don't like you and I don't want to like you. But I think Bronwyn's giving it a genuine chance. And I'm pretty disappointed in Heather because I've always liked Heather. So having problems here. They sit down and Bronwyn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rewind. Okay. They've already sat down. All right. Now, Bronwyn apologizes that this relationship between her and Heather has gone sideways and that it really hasn't gone the way she wanted it to with Heather. I swear to God, Heather is seeming like one of the most difficult people to apologize. Truly, like to apologize to, I should say, because she's dragging this out now and she's wanting to know exactly what didn't go the way she didn't want it to. So Bronwyn's like, all right, I can. Okay, well, here we go. Bronwyn points out that they didn't talk much at Lisa's Bezos event and that a few days after, when they went on that little Wendy's run, that Bronwyn kind of thought they were all just talking some shit and having fun. But that when Heather went and told Whitney things in what she perceives must have been a different tone than how Bronwyn thinks she was saying things, I mean, she then straight up admits that when she heard Heather and Lisa were talking shit on Angie, that of course she then went and told Angie because she was just being messy and admits it wasn't a great way to handle it either. And then she apologizes for it. And Heather just scoffs at her. Okay. Bronwyn basically just admits, like, yeah, if Heather thinks she can go around and tell people things she's said with her own stanky flair on it, then she's going to do it too. And that was in her confessional. Heather just goes to Bronwyn after she admits all of that, aside from that little confessional moment. That by definition is messy. And Bronwyn reminds her, she said it comes across as messy what she did. And Heather's all about the semantics now because she's like, comes across or is? For crying out loud, Heather, give us a fucking break, man. Heather is genuinely just like being impossible because when Bronwyn says, well, if we can't move forward unless I call it messy, then I'll own that it was messy. Heather, you don't have to say anything you don't want to say. Look, I get that you don't want her just to apologize to you for the sake of apologizing and just to make you look like an asshole, which is what you think is happening here. But what makes you look like an asshole is how much of an asshole you're being to her. Bronwyn is not being a fucking asshole to you. You are. You are. Period. Bronwyn is wanting to show Bronwyn's also wanting Heather to own that she's been messy herself. Not a big deal. Like, just both be like, okay, fine, bitch, I'm being a little messy. And what I mean, you got me pretty good too. How hard would it have been to find that common ground? Nope, but Heather's being quite holier than thou. And ironic with her next statement. Heather says, "Oh, you're a saint. You're better than me. And you're just all of this and that. Like, you're just so much better than me, huh, Bronwyn?" She's been pretty awful to Bronwyn. I'm sorry, but she is. She doesn't even, and then she tells Bronwyn that she doesn't even know why Bronwyn invited her over. So Bronwyn's like, "Oh, all right. What the fuck? All right, fine. Girl, do you want to go there? Fine, we're going there." And Bronwyn leans over and goes, "Okay, so I invited you over because I'm inviting everyone on a trip this weekend. And I don't know that you and I are in a place for you to come. But if I don't invite you, that is going to cause a huge issue and you and I will never move past it." Now, here's the part that I will understand Heather, because Heather's like, "So what, am I here to sing for my supper to try and get myself invited on this trip?" And the thing is, at the same time, though, Heather, if you wanted to move forward and you had any desire to have any remote friendship with Bronwyn, you would have been like, "All right, yeah, like I said, yeah, bitch, I was being messy too. Okay, you got me good. I thought I was being good. No, you got me, bitch." But no, no. Instead, she wants to dig her heels in fully. And Heather tells Bronwyn, "I thought you wanted me to come over so we can move forward." And she thought Bronwyn was just going to apologize. And that's when Bronwyn's basically like, "Girl, you thought I was going to say sorry and you wouldn't have to take ownership of any of your own shit?" Like, what do you think was going to happen over here, babe? And she does ask her, "Well, what did you think was going to happen over here?" And Heather just acts all sheepish and kind of victim-y, saying, "Well, I didn't know it was going to happen." And tells Bronwyn that she thinks she's unpredictable and that she's terrified that Bronwyn talks about her, let's just say, a certain way behind her back. Mm. And Heather tells Bronwyn, "You have a skewering sense of humor." Bronwyn's like, "No, ma'am. Listen, I didn't come to play, but apparently we're going to play. So let's play." She goes, "You also have a skewering humor and you have come very hard for me." She points out that Heather has now called her terrifying, not a good friend, saying that her husband was stupid to not get a prenup. And Heather confirms she did say that. She thinks it's stupid for them to not get a prenup because she says marriage is purely essentially a financial transaction. Like, yes, there is a financial transaction aspect to it, but if that's all that marriage is for you, babe, it's more than just that, but okay. Heather thinks Bronwyn was just trying to find a reason to not include her on this trip. I don't. I think Bronwyn was trying to find a reason to include you on this trip. Heather, my God. So then in confessional, Heather says that Bronwyn not only showed me her shitty house, but showed me her shitty intentions. Are you kidding me, Heather? That was so fucking rude. Wow. So Heather ends up getting up to leave, saying, "I feel exhausted and sick to my stomach." Okay. Okay, with the guilt trip. All right, Heather, whatever. She then says this isn't the type of friendship she wants to have, but that she's glad Bronwyn has so many new friends she can supplement. Obviously, Heather feels left out, and I understand that. But come on, you had an opportunity to just move forward with Bronwyn. Was it so hard? Did you have to dig those mother effing snow boots in so deep? Bronwyn ends up saying to Heather that clearly Heather's lacking in self awareness, that she doesn't see that she contributed to this issue. And Bronwyn, then in confessional, made me sad, but which, by the way, I skipped the note where Heather was like, "Yeah, I'll take that. Thanks for the advice. I'll take that under advisement." Jesus. Bronwyn says in her confessional that she tried to show up as her best self to this conversation, and that if it's not good enough for Heather, it's one of her worst fears that who she is at her best isn't good enough for people. And that made me so sad. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a sucker. I really can be a sucker. Y'all know it. And I felt bad for Braun when we see her tearing up on the sofa afterward. Hmm. I like her a lot. And apparently, we're going to see her and Lisa go at it this coming, well, tomorrow. This is coming out so late, friends. I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the schedule better. I swear to God. All right, besties. That's it for today. I will be doing a gossip session later this week and covering the Orange County reunion at some point since my schedule's a little different now. But wherever it is you are listening, please leave a 5-star review. Maybe let me know if my voice doesn't sound like an infant toddler that infuriates you so much that you have to turn me off. Fuck you too. Anyway, love you. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin. Check out my T Republic or T Public. God, I do that every time. T Public merch collaboration. The link is in the show notes, as well as the Pop Culture Besties Etsy shop with all the merch. Everything is designed by me and Besties. I will see you later this week. All right. Enjoy your Tuesday. Bye.